Hey, welcome. You are here, hour number 5 of Pure Adrenaline here on Stylin Radio. I am West Coast Paul. I want to mention that this is brought to you by NOS Energy Drinks, the favorite drink here at Stylin. And Scott here with my co-host Izzy in the studio. And what up, Izzy?
What's up? Yeah, sponsored by NOS Energy Drink. If you want to get your pure adrenaline kicking, man, slam a NOS and go out there and bust out some cool shit. So yeah, it's 11 o'clock here. We're just busting it out. Last hour on Tuesday, and then I'm going home. And I've been at the studio all day here today, and I was able to run a few errands in between the afternoon show and this, and I had some meetings I had to be in. So yeah, it's been a long day, and I come in this bitch at 8 in the morning and don't leave till midnight.
You've been working too long today. This last hour, we're gonna have to pound the NOS here to keep us moving and going and make sure we get home safe.
Yeah, thank God we got to deal with NOS, man. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, I know. It's cold. It dark. It's late, and when we leave the studio and having worked and done our stuff all day, it can be hard. But I really, the guys at NOS, man, that is awesome. And the last segment here, we've talked about the Aspen games and stuff, but coming up, I don't know if you're aware, but the X Games, it's back on the West Coast.
Yep, I do know that.
It's their 60th or 30th anniversary, and they just signed a 3-year deal to be in Sacramento and for the next 3 years, back where they've been before, and up in Northern California. They've been in San Francisco, and apparently, they're excited. I think everybody's excited. I'll have to go back. I got some friends up there, and
yeah, it's going to be in August, right?
Yeah, it's the 22nd through the 24th, and there's, all the big dogs obviously will be there, and we're going to have to, I have to find a way to get there somehow. It's just, there's you mentioned a lot of the events that they've had and or you've participated in and the other things they do, and, they're getting more and more brazen every year, trying to come up with new tricks and new things to get them their points so that they can dominate an event. And I'm for the, like you say, 30th anniversary. Gosh, I remember when X Games first came out, and people were like, well, what's this? Is it some sort of a joke? Is it what are they trying to do? We got the Olympics, we got all this stuff. And I'm going, what is this? And 30 years later, I think I'm like a lot of other people that we slap ourselves questioning why they did it, because it is really badass.
Well, I mean, back then, freestyle in general, skateboarding, everything, there was contests going on, but there were so many different promoters. It was finally, they had to put together the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And there was Rad TV and different stuff that was out there, but, the X Games really brought everything together, all extreme sports, and, so the 30th anniversary, I will be there this year. So, I got an email a while back about it, but I haven't really said much to anybody publicly if I was going or not, but you heard it here first, I'll be there, so.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, we'll have to, go up there together somehow, some way. Maybe we can do a broadcast from there. And it is, it's warm and toasty up there that time of year. In Northern California. But they, I'm going to, and speaking, X Games at the beginning, I know I thought about it, and it just looked like it was something that ESPN was just going to put together, to give their nation or station some notoriety and some other stuff, a gimmick. I mean, I'm going to use the word, because they couldn't get the big time other sports things back there. 30 years ago, ESPN, when they started roughly, I think 1980, they were good, but they were still fledgling a bit in certain things of how they did it, and becoming popular. And X Games, I got to tell you, was one of the biggest things they did, and it put X Games for sure and all these events on the map of taking them seriously.
Well, yeah.
And it gave ESPN, they had exclusiveness to it. Nobody else was going to get it. And now, everybody wants to be part of it, of what they have, because some of these these athletes are incredible at what they do. It's just as training and things they do of like any other sport, when you think of the Olympics and things. And I really love it. I do watch, the X Games every year. I'm looking on here to see when the winter telecasts are, and to go back, because you can watch them online. You can do all kinds of things. And in a busy schedule, that's what's even better, is that they don't just do them and then you can watch them, but they make sure that you can come back and watch what you've missed or see it, because it's really that good. And so I've got my tunage in here, this week between working here at the station and at Style and Motorsports, and then with the shows. It's going to have to do it. Maybe we can talk a little more about it next week.
Yeah.
With some of the stuff we've seen, because I know one gal, she was looking to medal in 4 categories. She did it in 3 last year. I've looked it up, and I don't want to say anything, but yes, she's the queen of the slopes, and trying to see if she can do it. I'm little things curious. But the summer one, when it's coming up with the biking and all that, the things, I should look up a little more to see what new things that they're doing, because every year somebody rolls something out where it's more dangerous, more deadly, more fun, and watching them pull it off is just, oh, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely jaw dropping. I mean,
And if you go to the events, obviously we have X Games stuff, where they're doing the sporting events, but it's also a music festival.
Yes.
That's what a lot of people don't know, is you get, alternative rock, adrenaline, you get all the bands that play great music, and that's part of the event. It's not, just the sporting one. It is actually an entertainment venue, so that, when you're there and you have the events, you go see a lot of different groups doing concerts and doing their things. And that part is what is really exciting for me and why I love going. And so and August 22nd to 24th, man, the summertime stuff, they'll be there, and we will too.
Yep, I will definitely be there for sure, because it's a 30th anniversary. And don't get me wrong, I've been to other X Games since I don't compete anymore, you know what I'm saying? And it's always a good time. There's a concert, there's this, and there's good food, good people, and there's always something going on. It's always something cool going on. But pretty much when the X Games hits a city, the only thing is it's not all under one roof. It's kind of spread apart in different parts of the city. So you got to pick your lane and what you want to see, and and the schedule's there, and it's always a good time. I mean, I highly suggest if you go to the X Games and you're there to watch, there's a couple tricks that you could do. You can get an Airbnb, which is nice nowadays, but back then we would have to get a hotel like 30, 40 minutes away because everything was booked up. So, that's just nature of the game,
Yeah, well, and they changed, yeah, it is. And they changed through the years. I mentioned ESPN started it, and of course ABC bought, ESPN, and now it's on the major network. They're getting some major, airtime on with doing it with ABC. But, something like you mentioned, inline skating, it's no longer part of the X Games. In fact, it hasn't been part of it for 20 years. And, some of the original sports and some of the original things they did, they kind of moved on to other events. And the inline skating one, it was just political crap. I don't even like to talk about it much.
Well, I mean, the big thing is I was there for the whole thing, and the way we were treated, it was unreal. I mean, it's just like Flatland Freestyle. They took Flatland Freestyle out of the X Games too. And it was the one thing that, and this is my opinion, people, okay? When they start, freestyle motocross was one thing, but when they brought in the rally cars and this, and they brought in all this other stuff. I'm like, how is that so damn extreme, you know? But they were playing off the cars because at the time, the car thing was hot, you know? And they kind of screwed it up for the inline skaters, wanting them just to, you know, pay them a day rate to video stuff, you know? And it's like
Yeah.
you took the camaraderie of bikes, boards, and blades out of it. So now it's this and this. And the one year they did that extreme pogo stick shit. Now, don't get me wrong, the shit was badass.
Yeah, but not very many people can associate with a pogo stick
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and don't get me wrong, these weren't average pogo sticks. I mean, these guys were jumping like 20, 30 feet in the fucking air, but it's just, you know, in business, I get people try to do new stuff, but in the same sense, you kind of ruin it, you know?
You do. And I know inline skating, listen, when I was a kid, younger, and saying you, it was huge, and it started to die out with the, you know, the so many other things. But when COVID hit, inline skating and skating in general took a huge jump up again, and a whole new generation of kids are discovering it and finding it out. And there are talks that it could be back in the X Games here at some point.
Yeah.
You know, COVID, when COVID was out and you couldn't do anything, roller skates, you know, that was something that
Well, and that's the other thing. Roller skating is big right now, quad skating.
Yes.
And
I know that they're building skating rinks all over the place again.
Yeah,
or converting places.
Yeah, because, I mean, even with Girly Girl, they sponsor some aggressive inline skaters, snowboarders, you know, mountain bikers. I mean, Girly Girl sponsors a lot of different stuff in their sporting program. But one of the things that I seen, and they'd asked my opinion, you know, they were like, what do you think about this girl, this girl? And they had like 30 girls that they're on Instagram and TikTok roller skating. And I picked who I thought would be best to represent the brand. And the one girl is actually an aggressive inline skater that went back over to quad skates. And she makes some fun content. And that's what they were looking for. You know what I'm saying? So, in the same sense, you know, there's nothing like going to the comps. And on top of that, you know, there's the qualifiers. You know what I'm saying? So, the qualifiers, those are events that could be near your hometown or close to your hometown. And I highly suggest going out to them and seeing what they're doing. You know, bring your kids, you know. You never know. Your kid might be the next person to get a gold medal, you know. So, you know, it's great to see that the X Games is now 30 years old. Makes me feel older in dirt. But in the same sense, you know, I'll throw down a session with anybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean...
Yeah, and you know the X Games, the like you know you say original one when it was released as the Extreme Sports or Extreme Games, and of course it's been shortened to X. And a lot of things have been changed or done to X because of the age group, but they. It's one of the not really that talked about sporting events in the world or in certain circles, but in what we do, man, it's huge, it's popular, it's great, and something I just I was doing a little look up. They still do inline skating in Asia exports when they're doing their things over there.
Yeah, so over in Japan, they still X Games Japan or X Games Asia.
Yes,
they still have the aggressive inline skating. And they still do the flatland as well. So,
yeah, so that's cool. It's keeping it up, and its popularity, like they're going, it has a chance. I think that'd be awesome if they brought it back.
Well, and the other thing, in my opinion, over there, they don't have the rally car shit. So there's certain stuff that they're done at the Asian X Games that they don't do at the American one. But you can go and qualify and do that one, and then come over here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why you got like Simon O'Brien and all those guys coming over from Australia, New Zealand and stuff, and the Brazilian guys. And it's all world qualifying to go to California to compete. And, and it's great stuff, I mean, I don't, some people's like, well, I thought you were against the X Games. I've never been against the X Games. But then again, I didn't like what they did.
Yeah, politics, political, or certain things they do. And honestly, back then they didn't have their shit together. They were new at throwing it together. It
Well,
didn't have the popularity that it does today. But anytime,
well,
you're
my feeling on that is they had the popularity, they had everything going for them, and then their head got too big, and then they started excluding stuff, which it's kind of a moot point because a lot of writers and stuff were like, and there were so many rules, and a lot of it broke down to insurance because some of these riders don't wear helmets. I'm a rider that I'm not big on helmets, So, I do believe in knee pads and stuff, but I wear those under my pants, and most people don't even know I got them on. So they got real big. They had some production people in there that they're not from our sport, but the sport that they're in is filming and producing. And so when those producers got into it with the talent, that's what gets into an interesting deal altogether. And it is what it is. But the thing is, the popularity of a skate company that's sponsoring it, they want hundreds of millions of kids to wear their shit because they make good shit. But in the same sense, it's like, look at all the people you pissed off and left the industry, and they went and did their own deal, Now, their deal may not have been as big, but it's like skateboarding, everything. Everything pops up, popularity goes underground for a while, and then it jumps back in, So, but I'm not knocking the X Games because the X Games is needed. You need this deal, you know what I'm saying? Because where else is everybody going to show off their talent and, broken bones or whatever they've got going on? And so...
Yeah, it's not like a lot of other events where it's all safety first and then do something badass. This one is they're safety, but they want badass.
Well, I mean, you're talking to an aggro generation of Generation X, and you're going to tell them what they can and can't do, and that doesn't work. If you tell someone, a Generation X person, that you can't do this, they're going to prove you fucking wrong that they can. But now we've got 2 other generations going on.
Yes.
So it's like, and trust me, the millenniums are different than Gen Z. I mean, it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? But now the next one coming up is the Alpha. The A group. And they're still a little young, but in the next several years, they're going to be the next people at the X Games, and some of them already are.
Well, and looking like in the X Games Japan for the Asia one, as you mentioned, the youngsters in 2020, we're here recently, 2022, 23, roughly a third of the participants in the X Games were either teens or preteens.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, over in Asia, man, they don't fuck around over there. I mean, those kids get into that sport, and it's like soccer. We play soccer and football and basketball and stuff over here, and they do too, but when it comes to extreme sports, man, I'll give you a prime example. Czechoslovakia, there's a girl, and I'm sure the listeners have seen this girl, some of these other girls from Romania. They ride these 10-speed bikes, and they do flatland tricks, and they're doing backwards wheelies and just the most insane shit on direct drive. And it's like, who are these people? But in their country, that's their thing. So, you're not going to see that person at the X Games, but maybe that girl got tired of riding the 10-speed and she jumped on a 20-inch bike or a mountain bike, and you would see that, So, there has been some people ask me, it's like, now that I do a lot of mountain biking, am I going to jump on the X Games and try to compete now that I'm older with the mountain biking? No.
No, not unless they got the, what do they call it? The Legends Tour? Or
I'm not a senior citizen. I'm not a senior citizen by no means, but I would ride the course, but to compete, I mean, fuck. I can't compete against these guys. I mean, and the thing is, people, you got to understand, back when I was skating, that was my whole life, and I had a business, okay? So as business progressed, less and less time went into doing extreme sports. Now, don't get me wrong, I've always been an extreme sports person. You know, people send me in tons of videos and magazines, but it's where it went underground to where I could do it on my time and progress the way I want. You know, I didn't have to go out and try to compete to be the best. You know, I never claimed to be the best at anything. I was just somewhat dangerous on what I was doing, except inline skating. I went very big time and went on world tours and all this stuff. But then again, I never wanted to be a demo show person, you know. Um, and don't get me wrong, those guys make good money, you know, but, you know, I don't have time to, and I love kids. I really love kids, but I don't have 36 weeks of the year where I'm going to go perform in front of a bunch of kids and run a business at the same time. It don't work like that. You got to pick and choose your lane as you grow up, you know, and, you know, I'm happy to be where I'm at. I have no complaints. And the one cool thing is that I've stated before that I plan on doing this year is hitting skate parks that I've seen in videos, because I want to skate it in person. So,
yeah, and you know, I got to tell you, here at the station, talked about it, man. Yeah, we wouldn't let you go out and participate. We'd be too afraid. You know, old guy, you'd break a hip or something. You know.
Yeah, that's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I know if I did, it'd be trip, stumble, fall, snap, and yeah, you'd see me in the walker for the next year and a half. So.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Jimmy lives up there by Skank Skate Park in Springfield, Illinois. Jimmy that's on the afternoon show, and that place is still open. And I'm like, no fucking way, you know?
Yeah.
And it's owned by the same guy. I plan on taking a trip up there here soon, you know, because that's part of 2025 is some of the skate parks I'd like to go revisit or go to a park that I've seen, and it's like, you know, wow, you know, I mean, that's cool. I got to skate it. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But on that note, guys, man, we're getting ready to finish this up. You got any last thoughts?
You know, it's been a great Tuesday. The everything, you know, we've went over today has been so fun. And going the X Games, you know, we are going to talk more and more about it. And I want to get into more in depth with some of the people participating, because these guys are unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
But you know, from that, I go, no, this has been a great show. Here, Pure Adrenaline, I love it. I love NOS is on board. That, you know, energy drink it just gives again, being part of their team and then part of ours, man. That's so awesome.
Yeah, and we're only gonna take sponsors if we like the stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know that there's been some other companies that have submitted stuff in for commercials and stuff, and the production managers run it by me, and I'm like, what is this stuff? And I'm like, I don't think it's a good fit. And to us, money isn't everything, okay? Because somebody can offer $1 million to sponsor this deal, and if we don't like their stuff, we don't, you know, that's not our thing, you know?
I don't want to be fake. Hell no. And there's nothing about, you know, what we do that's that way. And yeah, agree. You know, when we talk about any of that stuff, that it has to be something that we're proud of and part of. So you know, like I said, it's awesome that they're on board, and we'll get some more. And you know, for my perspective, no, I'm good here. It's late Tuesday. It is about time to roll on home.
Yep. Yep, and you guys are listening to Pure Adrenaline Tuesday night with Izzy and West Coast Paul, and we out of here.
Out.